RuthAnn, I'm so happy to have you as part of this summit. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. Well, for viewers, I'll just give your little bio and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah.
So, RuthAnn Rafiq is the brand designer and business strategist behind Our Art Space, a branding studio helping heart-centered women look legit online to grow their dream businesses. Hailing from Kansas City, she spends her days in her cozy home office working during baby's nap times, creating beautiful brands and strategic websites for incredible women service providers. And RuthAnn, I am so excited to have you here to talk with us about developing your brand as an author. I think so. I've known you for, I think it's been about a year now. And like you were the first person that kind of got me thinking about brand, like what is a brand? And I remember you had a great blog post a little bit ago that was talking about the difference between like branding and marketing, which like really caused light bulbs to go off for me. So I just think that as authors, we hear a lot about, and as entrepreneurs too, about like marketing. But developing a brand seems like equally important, if not more so. And also it just feels kind of like a little bit more of a long-term strategy to be thinking about. So I'm just really excited to learn from you today about this topic.
Yes, I love talking about this topic. So this is something I feel, I think when I came into the online space years ago, I didn't know the difference between branding and marketing. And it's taken me a while. Like I've just learned so much in being online and marketing my business and growing as a designer. And, branding, you were talking about that blog post. The difference is branding is more of like the personality, the visuals, like how you present yourself, and then marketing is how you get that in front of people. And I do think it's really important to establish a personal brand if you're any type of product or service. Honestly, like everyone who has a business, I think it's really important to have a brand. And I think as an author, you are doing a personal brand. And I think it's just as important to do that because there's so many other authors out there. There's a lot of other people doing what I do too, like more brand and website designers. So when I can create a brand that is around my values, that's around my personality, it helps me like stand out online amongst everyone else. And that's really what branding helps you do, is be memorable, build that know, like, and trust. And I mean, there's so many other things, but yeah, for sure.
I love that. And one thing that just came up for me as you were describing that, I think sometimes with authors, we can feel a little bit like maybe we get stuck in a certain type of writing or a certain type of book. And it almost seems like maybe thinking about branding and your branding as an author as a way to kind of be consistent throughout your different books that you write, even if you might write some nonfiction, some fiction, like some different genres. Do you think that is something that authors can think about when they're sort of, thinking about their career kind of long term?
I think that is a great way to think about it because that is what it is. It's more like your like branding encompasses things that don't really change that much, like your personality, your core values. Normally you have your values instilled in you when you're, in your youth, and you carry those out for your life. And so that is a great way to look at it. It's something that can carry with you for a really long time, even like for me, even if I offer a different service or if I have a new product, like my how I present myself, how I communicate, being heart centered, and like having my values like lead me in a lot of decisions. That's always going to be the same, and that's how you can pivot easily and do well in multiple different areas. Like even if you change your business or you change the name of your business, or you as an author, if you have multiple books in different categories, like you do a children's book and then you do like a sci-fi, keeping that brand established really helps people connect the dots of like, oh, she's doing something else. That's really interesting. I would like to learn more about that, because they already know you and they know what you stand for. And that helps them, bridge those gaps.
I love that so much. And that resonates so deeply when I think of some of my favorite authors. It is true. It's like, and I think with social media and all of that, you can get the sense that you feel like you know the person behind the book. So maybe we could talk a little bit thinking about, so I think you've done a great job establishing why it's important to think about a brand and to, really create this brand for yourself as an author. Maybe we could go into a little bit about like how. So if someone is listening to this and they're like, okay, I haven't thought about branding, but RuthAnn has convinced me, like, I need to start thinking about this. What are some first steps they can take? Like, how do you even begin to kind of establish a personal brand online?
Yes. And like you said, this is something that takes time. So I do want to preface it with, it's not like something you can just, bang out in like an hour. But, these are some things that I recommend to get started. And hopefully these are actions you can take right away. So I think number one is showcase your personality. Like, be you. If you are not someone who likes to be in front of the camera, or, you would just prefer writing, which I'm sure a lot of authors are like that, like, let your personality show in how you communicate and in your words. Like, if you're funny or quirky, like, it's okay to talk about, like, lead with a joke, or, letting your personality come through however you do that. And you could do that through, if you like being on video, or like, showing your face. I think just letting your personality come out, and just not trying to be like another person, which for me, that was really hard when I first came in the online space. I saw other successful people be like, oh, but they do it that way, then I'll probably just be successful if I did it that way. And that's just not how it works, because it's not long term, like, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And so when you really just embrace like who you are and like how you like to show up, I think that's really important. Um so let it communicate what, communicate how you normally would, and just let that show. So I think, so showcase your personality. I think showing your face is really important, even if you're not wanting to be in front of the camera. Even having like one good photo, I think, really builds connection. And there's different layers of building connection with someone. Reading what they wrote is one way, seeing a photo of them is another way, and then hearing their voice is like an added layer of getting to know someone, being with someone in person. So there's a lot of different levels of connecting with someone. And when you're establishing a personal brand, you do want to build those connection points, because that helps people build that know, like, and trust. And so I think showing your face is important. Yeah, even if it's just one good photo, I think it's really helpful for people to see the person behind it, and to build that. And then thirdly, let your values lead. And this is something I talked about earlier, but like, having your values at the forefront is really important. For me, I'm very family focused. I designed my business so I could be a full-time stay-at-home mom with my son. So I don't really work more than 15 hours a week, give or take. And that's really important to me. So that kind of leads my schedule and leads how I operate my business, how many projects I take on. And so I think it's important that you think about what's really important to you and how you can share those values um, in your business. And I know on like my about page, I have like my core values at the bottom. And so it's just nice. I feel like it's an extra way for people to connect with you. If one of my values is like integrity, and be like, oh my gosh, me too, I totally resonate with that and believe in that. And then, it's just one more way to build a connection. So that's the three things I recommend, is like showcasing your personality, showing your face, and letting your values lead.
I love those, RuthAnn. Those are such great tips that I think it's true that we can, like you said, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but it's some things that we can begin thinking about today, ways to kind of integrate that more. And
Mhm.
what also strikes me is I think a lot as writers, we think about like developing our own unique voice. And when you were talking about sometimes seeing other people online and wanting to do it the way that they do, I think we often feel that way when we're first starting to write too. We read other books and we think, oh, I should write it more in that way. But I think we really find success when we develop our own voice with our writing. And to me, this idea of branding is like an extension of that, kind of in the marketing space, like in the same way that you wouldn't want to write a book pretending to be
Yes.
somebody else. It's the same with branding. Like, you're not trying to, I think it's great to follow other authors and maybe be inspired by what they do, but I just love
Mhm.
the permission that you give people, like, to just really be themselves and try to be,
Yes.
as authentic as possible. And when I think about authors that I follow, that's often the post that I like the most, or I feel like I
Yes.
kind of get to know them a little bit behind just the name on the cover.
100%. There are so many parallels to branding and writing. So I love that we're drawing all these parallels, but it's so true. It's so true that, the more you embrace who you are and let that guide you, that attracts people, I think, faster.
Yeah. Yeah. And some other ideas that came to mind when you were talking about like showing your face, are there ways that people can do that? Like I was thinking of, okay, maybe you want to show your book, but instead of just showing your book cover, like you're there holding it, or like, do you have any, I guess, maybe
Yes.
little like tips or kind of ways for people to sort of wade into those ideas of like showing their face or kind of being comfortable on camera? Like, are there any things that you work with your clients to do to kind of, if they haven't done that in the past, to sort of like baby step into that?
Well, I did have a past life as a photographer, so I do have some tips. If you're uncomfortable like being on camera, I think for the first thing is to not take it so seriously. And I
Mhm.
think people really do connect with kind of mistakes, not mistakes, but like, kind of not being perfect. And so
Yeah.
I think the first thing is to like take the pressure off. Like you're having fun, you're sharing a book that you wrote, which is huge. And so it's just kind of like, this should be a celebratory moment. Or even if you're during the writing process, you can just like be like thinking, and that can be your photo is like, you know how like brainstorming or stuff like that, like um or as you're writing, if you can get some photos of like you actually writing or in your home office, um or like showing like a map of like your character's journey like in papers or something. Just kind of like behind the scenes ways are really great. And if you're doing an actual photo shoot, I would say like music is really helpful. Maybe having a glass of wine or something to like loosen up is helpful if you're really like, not sure about it, and having a great photographer as well. But hopefully some of those first tips are helpful.
Yeah, I love that. And I love what you said about behind the scenes. Like, I think that that really can get people's wheels turning of, like you said, it doesn't even have, I think it's great to have some pictures of you in your face, but you really kind of open the door there of like behind the scenes. Maybe it's a picture of, yeah, your like character map or your writing journal, or like,
Hmm.
I don't know, even I know some authors don't like to do this because they don't want people to read what's on the screen, any of
Yes.
their manuscript, but sometimes like a picture of your computer as you're working on your draft or something like that
Yes.
can be really fun, so people get a sense that they're getting, because I think it's very exciting when we think of books being created. And so being able to get like a sneak peek behind the scenes of how your book came to be,
Yes.
is a great authentic way to show your personality and also like get readers interested in your book.
And I know you did that too with Thanks Christopher Ruining My Life. When that book came in the mail, like you did like a photo of you in your book, like saying it was in, like it had come, and you did a lot of good stuff with that. I think so. I think it's easier. I just think don't think too much about it, but just have fun with it and just the journey. People love being in on the journey. Same with my own work. Like sometimes I don't really want to show too much because of maybe the client doesn't want me to or something. So it can be tricky sometimes to do that. But, finding little ways is people love it. People really, really love it.
Yeah. And I love too, like, the idea of not having to be perfect. Like, I think really just
Yeah.
embracing the messiness of it. Do you recommend, like, when people are thinking about how to get started online, like, do you have certain platforms that you recommend people starting with, or is it a website, their website, or like, do you have any tips there?
Yes, I do. So I think the first thing is like don't get overwhelmed with, there are a lot of different social media platforms out there. So I think don't get overwhelmed with, oh, I need to be on all of them. I just would pick one that you feel really comfortable on, that you like being on. It does not really work if you're forcing yourself, say if you don't really love Instagram and you're forcing yourself to do reels, like that's just not going to work for you. So if you really love LinkedIn, like, be on LinkedIn and just be active on that social media platform and interact with people, and start building like an audience by sharing what you're working on and that kind of thing. So getting started online, I would say like choose a social media platform that you really enjoy and show
Mhm.
up on that one, just with what you're working on, what you're doing, build connections with people. I think, knowing your core values and your own personality, that really helps you to know how you like to show up. If you really don't like video, just focus on maybe like long form, like blog posts, like having a, when you have a website, you can have a blog, and that way that can help you do that. So there's just so many different avenues for how you can show up. It's just really leaning into how you love showing up, and then show up that way. And then I do recommend people getting a website. I think it can be a little overwhelming, and maybe people are like, oh, I'm not ready for a website, but sometimes it just really can help you establish trust and authority in your space. People can get to know you quickly. They learn all about you, your past work, what you're working on, as an author and stuff. So I think having a website is really important. No matter what stage you're in, I think it's really important because, you don't own your social media platform. If your Instagram account was deleted tomorrow, would you have a way to connect with those people? And like having a website is that thing that you own, your little corner of the online space that you can, it's like your online hub that you can have all of your information at in one spot, and people can connect with you and learn about your products.
I love that. And I think too, I love the idea of people thinking about their brand is also like we're adding things to your platform of what you want to do, but also taking away things of what don't resonate with you. So as you were talking about finding what you love, it made me think of like developing your brand is also giving yourself permission to say, I don't have to do all the things, like the things that I don't super resonate with. I don't have to do those, and I can choose what really does resonate with me. So I just love like that grace and that permission that you're giving people. And speaking of websites, that's the perfect segue. Do you want to share with our audience the wonderful like free gift opportunity that you have for summit attendees?
Yes, I'm so excited to offer 20% off my author website template. And so this is so I design on Squarespace, if you know platforms. If not, don't worry. It's an easy to use, beautiful platform, and it's really easy to customize to your own site. So this is like a pre-made template where you can just plug and play your own copy and photos. And it's designed for authors to help you showcase your work and what you've done in the past. And there's just sections for all the things that you would need for an author template. And if you're not quite there yet, like if you don't have previous works, you can easily disable a page. And so it's just really easy to make it your own, to customize it and let it grow with you as time goes on. So I'm so excited to offer this 20% off. And yeah, it's no code required for the Squarespace template. It's for the non-tech user. So, and if you have any trouble along the way, you can obviously contact me, and I'm happy to help help you get started.
It's such a great offer. That's so generous of you to offer that 20% off. And I'll include all the details about that in like kind of the notes for the video with how listeners can take advantage of that. And I just think that's also so great if you're someone who, like RuthAnn was saying, who wants to have an author website. Maybe you already have a website, but you want to kind of expand it, like with your book, you don't really know what to include there. Like this template is such a wonderful gift for you to just have everything you need for your dynamic author website, really showcasing you and your book. Like RuthAnn's saying, you just plug and play, you just insert your stuff and you're ready to go. So I love that.
Yes, I'm so excited for people to use it and try it, and it's something you can easily get set up with like within a week. Like if you have your content and your photos, you could just get it set up right away. So I'm really excited to share this with people so you can share all of your goodness out into the world. So I think it's going to be a great way to make an impact.
So wonderful. Well, RuthAnn, thank you so much for talking with us about author branding today. How can viewers connect with you if they want more, more from you? What are the best ways for them to find you and follow you?
I would say my website, which is rartspace.com, or my Instagram, which is r_artspace, and you can connect with me there. But thank you so much for having me. This was such a delight, and I always love chatting with you, Dallas.
Yes, I love chatting with you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.